Welcome back to this channel. This is Unfiltered Forex with me, Clement, and I am here for the NFP and PMI breakdown. We got the NFP yesterday, the PMIs also came out yesterday, about an hour, an hour and a half after the NFPs. So this is my breakdown. This breakdown will be short because I'll focus on the market reaction part of it. So this were the numbers. Non-farm payrolls for the month of August, 187,000 versus the estimate of 170k, and the previous reading was revised downwards to 157k from 187k. Participation rate ticked up a bit, 62.8% from 62.6. Private non-farm 179k above estimates. Previous number was revised lower. Unemployment rate 3.8%, high above the 3.5% the market was expecting, above the 3.5%, which has been the norm for some time now. S&P Global US Manufacturing PMI. This one is not the PMI I look at. This one is not the PMI the market looks at. The ISM Manufacturing PMI. This is the report that the PMI that the market takes seriously, because this is a more detailed PMI and it's done by the Institute of Supply Managers. So it's a more accurate index and it's a more detailed one. As you can see here, the ISM manufacturing, there's an employment index and the prices index. Prices index was 48.4, very high above the estimate of 4.39, and also very high above the previous reading of 42.6. Manufacturing employment 48.5, very high above the 44.2 estimate, very high above the 44.4 previous reading. Okay, so if you want to understand what these numbers mean, you're just going to go to my Discord. The link will be in the description, and yeah, you're going to see this breakdown of those numbers, what the data means. In this video, I'll only go straight to the market reaction. Here we are. We'll be looking at the dollar index first. As you can see here, there was a retracement, kind of like a flag just before the NFP, and then immediately the NFP came out. There was that downward impulse, and then during the next hour, the hour of nothingness, let me say it that way, the hour when there was no news release during there was no news release during that hour, and there was also the only thing that happened is the New York Stock Exchange opened. Yeah, it was open during the next hour. So as you can see, the impulse came, the NFP impulse came bearish, and then of course in the Discord I explained why, and then the impulse was corrected rather. The impulse was corrected in the next hour, and then during the PMI, the ISM manufacturing PMI, you can see during the ISM manufacturing PMI, this is the hour. This red candle, this is 12. This is 12 noon GMT. This is 1300 hours GMT, and then this green candle, this very green candle, this is the 1400 hours GMT. This is when the PMIs came out. Yeah, that's when the PMIs came out, and that's when price jumped. So going back a bit to my Discord, let me go back. Here we are. This was my NFP forecast. As you can see, this is in the premium section. NFP under the fundamentals channel. There's this NFP thread. This is where I give all my NFP forecasts. Okay, so here we are. In this case, the ISM manufacturing PMI dropping an hour and a half after the NFP, and when these conditions align like this, it's best to let the NFP pass and wait and see if there will be a setup just before the PMI is released. and I said I'd update my setup on New York Stock Exchange indices. Yeah, I had a setup on the Dow Jones. You're going to see it in a few. So this NFP report, it was kind of obvious to anyone who has some level of experience in these markets when the NFP is coming, and it's going to be followed by another big release. In this case, the big release with the ISM manufacturing PMI. You of course have to let the NFP pass and trade the PMI, because yeah, the PMI move is the one that was likely to be clear at the time. Okay, let me show you something else. This is now the US 30. We're going to see the US 30. Yeah, now this is my setup for the US 30. A little. Yeah, yesterday 2:04 p.m. My expectation for the NFP. Why is this thing not loading? Yeah, here we are. My expectation for the NFP. This is what I had on the US 30. I was expecting price to come, make some sort of a retest, form a new lower high. Okay, form a lower high here, and then just fall from this point. But remember, this is just a smoke screen. The best entry time will be when the PMI drops. That is 30 minutes after the New York Stock Exchange open. And this is what I had for the NFP. This is my expectation. And then yeah, and then this was during the hour. As you can see, the time here 3:40 p.m. This is East African time. Yeah, the NFP came out at 3:30 p.m. So during that hour of the NFP release, you can see price where it was. It was exactly at the region I had marked, and it didn't go past that zone. It didn't go past it. So yeah, at this time during the top of the hour, I was tempted to make an entry because the setup was looking very clean. The downside potential was looking, the cells were looking very ripe, but I had to wait for the right time, when now the best time being the during the hour of the PMI. As you can see now here, this is 4:50 p.m. East African time. The stock market usually opens at 4:30 p.m. East African time. So you can see here the price had already cleared out, like done. Some people call that a liquidity sweep. I prefer not to use those words. Okay, price had already formed a lower high here, and it was coming back down. So this was just 10 minutes to the top of the hour, and I was going to short at the top of the hour, as you can see here. So and then the update came immediately, just a minute before the PMIs were released, and this is when I wanted to short. This is when I wanted to get in. I updated my entry and stop levels, and then boom, you can see the setup started well, and it went well. Yeah. So the entry, as you can see here, the NFP move was not even for very volatile. The PMI is where the heat was, and it was just, you don't you don't need to be a rocket scientist to understand that when these two releases come each other like this, of course one is going to be a, what do you call it? One is going to be a smoke screen of the other. In this case, it was the NFP. Yeah, as you can see, the PMI impulse corrected, wiped out all the gains made during the hour of the NFP and even during the following hour. But this was on the US 30. You can see here, this is the setup itself. This is how it played out, and there was this support level here. I thought the price would break down past that one, but you see it held, made a retracement probably on Monday. We're going to see what price will do. I don't know what price will do going forward, but yeah, this was the zone. Took some portion profits here, and then closed some trades because yeah, it's not exactly a good idea to hold trades over the weekend. So I had to exit that, and yeah, we're just going to wait and see if on Monday if my analysis was on point or just I had I had to take profit zone that was too far fetched. Yeah, we're going to see that later. So something else. Let me show you now on the dollar. Something else here. This is the dollar index. This is what I had just before the NFP was released. As you can see, I was expecting this upward impulse. So combining this setup, see, looking at the chart and showing you it's a bull flag and it's likely to pump up. Combining this info, like you're seeing here, combining this setup with the info I had mentioned earlier that during this time, it's best to let the NFP pass and trade the PMI instead. Combining those two pieces of data or pieces of whatever you want to call them, it made a lot of sense. Now let's go to the chart. Yeah, it made a lot of sense to ignore, to let the NFP pass, let the NFP pass, let the following hour pass, and just get in during the PMI. So in this setup, usually because yeah, it's usually a clean move. You should have your stop loss kind of somewhere halfway into this green candle, and then for your profit target, you can target this high or this candle close, this region here. Yep, just like that. As you can see, this candle close of these tweezer tops. That's where you target well, take profit levels, and then boom, just like that you make your money. Anyway, I did not trade the dollar index. That was just what I was seeing, and as you know, this is going to be reflected in the dollar pairs, more so the euro dollar and the pound, the GBP USD currency pair. I think I had a setup on that. Let me look for it. Yes, this is what I had on the pound. So you can see here British pound versus US dollar. This is what I had just before the NFP was released. I was seeing the possibility of price just coming out slightly above this resistance, then tumbling down to this low. Let me to this low. Yeah, can make a clear. Oh, that's not straight, but you get the idea. I saw this resistance. Price is not going to be bullish enough to make a full breakout, but it's going to be bullish enough to just take out this high and then collapse. Yeah, now let's look at the outcome. As you can see here, this is price played out exactly, almost exactly as I expected it to play out. These highs were this high was taken out. As you can see here, this high was taken out during the hour of the NFP and even during the next hour. Again. If you remember what I've been talking about, like since I started this video. Oh my god. The NFP move, you were supposed to ignore that. You were not supposed to trade the NFP. Even during the next hour, you were not supposed to trade that one. This is 1200 hours GMT. That's when the NFP was released. This other hour is 1300 hours GMT. This is the hour during where nothing happened really, except for the S&P Global small PMI and during the New York Stock Exchange open. And then during the hour of the ISM manufacturing PMI, this is where all the downpour began. As you can see, it was a very clean move. Combine those two, okay, combining that data, that info, as you can see, yeah, it was just a clean setup. If you target this low, you just come here and ta-da, that's where my arrow ended. Yeah, it was not just a random point on the chart. I was seriously targeting this lows. Not here, not this extreme, just here where price showed signs of exhaustion. So yeah, you just chug it this low like that, and then boom. That's what happened. I think I'm done for this one. Yeah, for this NFP stroke PMI analysis breakdown, whatever you call it. I am done. Hope you learned something new. See you next week. I think it's next week or the other week when we'll be getting the CBI.